Hello! Well, this is the first of several videos for my role playing game. This is the one where I'm going to talk about the game setting a bit, which is not my game setting, but is, in fact, the Wilderlands of the Judges Guild. Um, so, first, I need to make a announcement about the Judges Guild and the Wilderlands. Sorry. It's my favorite setting. It's hex based. It's got a crazy sci-fi background. We're going to go into in a minute. Um, it's it's a cool world. I really like it. It's unfortunate that the current IP holders, the son of the founder, Bob Belslaw II, and his son, the third, are such pieces of trash. Uh, Right. So he said Bob Belslaw II has said a bunch of homophobic, Nazi-esque, misogynist, racist, anti-Semitic trash, and has draped himself in the American flag like his. Um, I knew he was an Orange Company to begin with, so an Orange Company is a gaming company that follows our Orange Cheeto in chief. The guy that tried to overthrow the country, Trump. So, um, but being a Republican and being an early follower of Trump is not in itself damning. It's problematic for sure, but it's not by itself a problem. Uh, all the other stuff he said, oh yeah, that's problematic. So um, I just wanted to let you guys know that they're currently he's not receiving any royalties from any sold product. The royalties and a portion of the goods go towards, I think it's GLAD, um, youth LGBTQ movements, and Black Lives Matter stuff. So everything he doesn't stand for is what the royalty fees go to. Because otherwise, everyone was going to take his products off their digital shelves, their virtual shelves, and stop printing them. Because no one wants to get in bed with that kind of crazy. Um, but his father, who wrote most of this stuff, as far as everyone knew, wasn't like this at all. He actually apparently bemoaned several times, from what I've read, his son and grandson's. Uh, it's he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy at all. Uh, like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. If you just Google him, you can see everything he did. So I just want to get out there that I've already bought all my Judges Guild stuff. Um, any money that I've given him since then to buy products, I already have known ahead of time was not going to his pocketbook, was going to the artist that he duped out on his failed Kickstarter. What are we talking now? 7 years ago. Um, going to like I said, GLAD, Black Lives Matter movements, things like that, not to his crazy racist pockets. Um, it's kind of sad that we're gonna have to wait till he dies in order to get this IP, which could be extremely successful. It could be a really wild IP, intellectual property for somebody to own and to use properly. But at some point you have to separate the artist from the art, um, and understand that you can still enjoy the art while minimalizing your impact as long as you acknowledge it on the artist itself. So, J.K. Rowling's and the Harry Potter franchise, H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu franchise, Mickey Mouse and Mr. Hates Jews, no, Walt Disney, that gentleman, yes. Um, yeah, you can you can't separate them, but you have to acknowledge that, it's problematic, especially when all this happened. It also all blew up in his face, as you can see there, in February of 2020, mid-February. Yeah, I don't remember what else happened in 2020 after mid-February that probably got everyone to stop talking about it. He's still going on like he's a saint, and he's choosing to give the money to the kids, not, as part of a settlement so that people will still buy the properties. So, anyway, so to combat this, to combat H.P. Lovecraft's abhorrent racism, we had that lovely, what was that, Cthulhu'sville show. It was really good. It's really hard to watch because, people in the past were super racist. I mean, like, super duper racist and horrible. But it was a great show. What the hell was the name of the Cthulhu show? Anyway, it was a great show. But at the same vein, like, he'd be rolling in his grave if he knew his works were being portrayed on screen by a bunch of African American actors. He would be freaking out over it. The same way all that lovely gay and transsexual or trans, Harry Potter fan fiction and all that must drive Miss Rawlings absolutely up the wall. Same thing here. So that's one of the two controversial topics I wanted to talk about. The other one, before we talk about the game setting, was evil as a default for some species. Now, I didn't say race there because we're not using that word anymore. I'm not sure who makes these rules up, but we're using the word species for other humanoid peoples. So a goblin is a humanoid person. We call that a different species, not a different race. I'm not going to get into the fine bits of it. It makes sense to me. Humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, hobbits, etc., aren't the same species. Therefore, they can't be the same race. Race is a subset of the species. It's a thing. So, evil is the default on the races, though. So, there's been a lot, and even Gygax himself played with this very early on. In a very early module, Keeping the Borderlands, he played with the fact that you discover a bunch of orc children. Now, the PCs have a moral dilemma. This is late 70s, early 80s? Anyway, so you've got this moral dilemma of what do you do with the orc kids? Are orc kids inherently going to be turning into evil orc adults? Do the orc children know what they're doing? So the answer to that in a realistic setting is no. The orc children are not evil. Orcs as a species are not evil. Goblins, hobgoblins, lizard men, even the mind flayers are not inherently evil. There can be evil versions of any of them, and evil humans, and evil gnomes and dwarves. They don't have to be a special subspecies of them. Like the drow. There can be evil drow, because those drow worship Loth, and Loth says, XYZ, you got to keep these women as slaves, and you got to, kill foreigners, and this and that. And that's a religious thing. And the weird thing about this is that in D&D, if you just pray hard enough, sometimes your god shows up. And literally, he's just over there, and he's all like, yo, Soweto slaves. And in real life, you can't get away with that. I can sit in here and pray all day, and Jesus is not going to show up and be all like, hey, how much you got for that sister? How many goats? How many goats you going to give for those slaves? Yeah. Slavery was okay in the Bible. You got to remember that part too. Um, doesn't make it right. Just it was there. So, not excusing it. I'm just saying it's part of the whole thing. So, D&D races, species, being evil. None of them are inherently evil. There's no living species of people that are inherently evil. Um, there are ones with extreme alien mindsets, like the Mind Flayer, the Xenomorph, the Mind Flayer, Aboleth is another one I'm thinking of. Beholder, maybe. Even though there are neutral beholders in the regular game setting. In 5e, there's a neutral beholder. So, was it Xanathar? I think it's Xanathar. Anyway, a Mind Flayer on itself is no more evil than a meat eater to a race of cow people. Like, I love steak. Oh, I should have said that in front of all the cow people over here. These literal minotaurs are going to be upset that I eat them. I eat their kind. A vegetarian and some soybean monster. A soybean humanoid plant person. Yeah, it's a completely alien and foreign mindset. A Mind Flayer could be cooperative to people as long as he has an alternative food source. He could be all like, yeah, I farm these cows. I hope you're not Minotaur people, because you'll be pretty upset that I eat cow brains all day. I don't eat human brains. They're too fattening. They're dumb, and they make you think that you like Trump. So, to recap there, orcs, perfectly fine. Orcs of Grummish, orcs of the evil orc god, his cultists, probably gonna kill you. Because blood for the blood god. Goblins, not inherently evil. Now, there's also a socio-economical part of this that people fail to understand, that still getting over COVID. Crime goes up in areas where there is an economic disadvantage, because there's an economic disadvantage and they still need to live. Crime is a symptom of flawed economics, generally, mostly, almost completely, can be gotten rid of by social and monetary equilibrium. Pretty much, if you have a job, you don't need to. If you have a job and you have a comfortable standard of living, just a job won't do. A comfortable standard of living, a job that pays well enough that you don't need to steal. It doesn't ever cross your mind that you have to steal in order to live, or kill someone in order to live. Then there's no need to be evil. This is big social thing where, the in our lifetime, the British didn't beat the Northern Ireland terrorists by black bagging as many of them as they can and torturing them to find out more information. They literally beat them with jobs. They put factories there. They put jobs, good paying jobs. They stopped over-policing the residents, and the terrorism went away because people had jobs and security and something to live for, so they didn't need to blow themselves up or kill anyone else or steal. Now, there'll always be a portion of the society that has mental flaws or issues where they need to steal things or need to kill people, and that's a psychotic individual, not indicative of a race, class, or species of people. Xenomorphs from the movie Aliens are no more evil than a raccoon is to grubs or ticks, or a possum to ticks. Uh, it's not inherently evil. It's just going about its life, just doing its thing. Same thing with the predators from the predator movies. They're not inherently evil. They're just living their life, man, and they just don't see you as anything more than a bug. Uh, if you were tick-sized, an opossum would eat you. Would that make the possum evil? No, it's just gonna eat things. It's got to live its life. Uh, Velociraptors, not inherently evil. It's got to live its life. It's got to eat something. If you're slow and in the tall grass, you're gonna get eaten by the velociraptor. Nope, no grudge. But we're verging onto monsters at this stage. Actual monsters that are reasonable individuals. A goblin can talk to you. It has a language. It has, in the fantasy setting, it has a language. It has a reason to do things, and it's not inherently because it likes to stab people to death. Often it's just part of its life cycle. So there are no inherently evil races. Inherently evil cults, people that are economically disadvantaged, so they are stealing or choosing to live outside the law. Yes. Bandits, great example there. Oh yeah, but bandits are people. Well, yeah, so is a goblin. Goblin bandits are also people. They're attacking you for a reason. They don't have food. They need a job. No one will hire a goblin because they're racist. Because goblins will kill you in your sleep. No, goblins not going to inherently kill you in your sleep. So yes, so in D&D is different in the real world. If you choose to have, this is just general my game world. If you choose to have evil goblins in your world, evil orcs, evil whatever, as a species be evil, okay. It's a fantasy setting. Look, I'm not making up the rules for the world. I'm just telling you how, I'm just trying to explain to you how the world would actually work and how it's going to work in my game world. So, let's leave that there. This is already, video's gone on too long.